Hi everyone, my name is Aadit Gupta and I'm part of Elevate the Future. Today I will be presenting the first Python video in our series, which is Class 1 Getting Started with Python. So first I want to talk about what is Python and why do we even use it and how is it helpful. So computers, just like you and me, need a way to communicate. However, they don't just talk in English. They need to communicate through different language known as Python. When we learn that language, we can tell them what to do. Think about every application you have used on a computer. For example, a video game. When you press the spacebar, you jump. Well, you are only able to do that because someone else programmed in Python to say that if a key is pressed on your keyboard, it should cause that character to move. Scratch is also a language, but it is a lot more limiting than Python because it doesn't let you program in text. Python is also far more popular and far more used. Python was made to be a high-level scripting language that is easy and fast to write. It is also a good way for beginners to learn, and many people use Python as their first language to learn. Additionally, learning Python is very useful since it's used by several companies. How many of you heard of any of the companies to the right? Well, all of them use Python quite a bit in order to create their applications. So the basic syntax. So first I want to talk about Python's print and input and the basics of Python. The computer can only be talked to by telling it to do certain things. For example, we can tell it to output the phrase "Hello World" with the following line of code. So can everyone try to use their computers and type print "Hello World" when you run the code? When you run the code, "Hello World" should appear. So here you can see that print is the thing that's helping us output to the command line, to the terminal. Then we have these parentheses. So this is the basic syntax of printing to terminal. And all commands in Python have basic syntax that you need to know. So in this you need parentheses and then quotes and then your message. Another example of something you can do in Python is input. It allows you to ask the user a question and collect information as a response. So when I ask, what is your favorite color? You can respond with red. You can also try this too. So here it's the same syntax as the print one. Input, parentheses, quotes, then your question. So variables. Variables is super important and very helpful in Python and all other programming languages as well. We always need to use any information we have multiple times. In order to store any type of data, we need to use a variable. Now, do we all remember what a variable is? So variables store information, such as name equals Catherine. On the left side will always be the phrase or the data type, which I'll talk about later, and the right will be the value, such as Catherine. And so what can we store with variables? So you can store integers, strings, and floats, which I'll talk about later as well. But the most important thing is that variables are basically helping you make your code way simpler. So instead of each time doing input, what is your favorite color input, you can just make that into a variable. So good programming etiquette. In order to make sure that your code is understandable, we need a comment in English to let others read it. Comments are lines skipped by the computer when it is reading code. This means that we can put anything there and it doesn't affect the rest of the program. Dry is a general principle to try to minimize the code you write. Data types. So like I had said before, string, integer, and other things, these are what help you store variables. So data types are the various ways Python can store data. So it's strings, integers, and floats. Here on the right side you can see string 1 equals hello. So the syntax would be left side string 1 equals, and then you need quotes inside of it. So hello. You can also do single quote or double quote. And that's the same for numbers too, but you always need the quotes. Then for integer data type, you don't need to use quotes. You can just do int equals 23 or int1 equals 23. Integer, the difference between integer and float is float can do, integer can only handle whole numbers, while float can do with decimals as well. Switching between data types. So when you store a variable, Python stores it as a string. So a way to turn that string into an integer, we do casting, which is basic. So right here on the right side, you can see a equals quotes 8, which is a string. And to cast it, you would make it b equals int and then parentheses the variable name. So that would be a. And then you can print to b and it will be 8. So, and then you can do it the other way around too. So a equals 8 and then b equals, and a equals 8, which is an integer. And then you can do b equals string a, and we'll either way print out 8 as well. Operators. Math. So you can get the computer to do your math for you. It is able to calculate all basic arithmetic, which is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Like I said before, printing, which would print out to the terminal, you can put data math inside that parentheses. So right here, 1 times 2, 1 times 2, 1 divided by 2, yeah. So I want you to do a basic activity right now. Go to repl.it and create a new code in Python 3. Ask the user to input 2 numbers to be operated on. Create a variable for each number the user inputs. Create a third variable that is the 2 numbers added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided, and print the sum, product, quotient, or difference is with a third variable printed. So pause the video and try doing that. Okay, so if you had paused it, I'm going to start talking about it. So here I have created the program. So first, right here, I did number 1, which is equal to int, because I need to cast it, because right here is a string, input, and then int, which is your number 1. Then I did the same thing for number 2. And then final, I said you can do addition, subtraction, division, or multiplication. Either way is fine. So I did addition, so final equals number 1 plus number 2. And then you can print it. So you need for printing, you need that, and this is the sum of the 2 numbers. Plus basically helps combine a string with a variable. So because and then before you need a space, so then it can easily add that number. And because final is a integer, you need to cast it to a string. Another activity is turtle. So go to REPL again, and then Python with turtle. Turtle is a fun way to see how you can animate and control objects with Python code. It's super simple. The only thing you need to do up top is import turtle. Use different turtle functions to move the turtle in different directions. You can even change the speed that the turtle moves. Try to draw a few shapes with a turtle, such as a square, a rectangle, or even a triangle, or just a line, anything you want. So pause the video and try doing that. So you should have done that now. I'll have it right here. So what I created was just a simple line. So basically I made turtle.turtle into a variable, so it's so much easier to code. So t.speed is 10, t.forward 100. So this means how much forward do I want to go, and the speed is 10. And then you can also go backwards and turn right and all that. You can also go online and search the turtle and see how it works, and even make more cooler things. Free code playground. So now you have time to do whatever you want in Python. Try to use an input, print, and an operator. Create your own variables and use operators to interact with them. For example, a grocery list with prices and items. You can do an input and then ask what is the first item you want, and then the user would input that in, and you can use the price for that, and the next line ask for the price and add that to a final cost and print out what is the cost for the grocery list. So recap what we covered in today's lesson. So what Python is and how it can be used in today's society. The basic Python syntax, variables and data types and operators. writing your own Python code and completing activities using Python for mathematical calculations and graphics with Turtle. Next class, so our next video will be a continuation of what you've learned in Python in today's class, which will be a little more advanced. You'll talk more about logic and how to use the data, how to use operators in a more advanced way. Also using loops, so for loop and while loop, and maybe also making your own calculator. So thank you. We hope you enjoyed Elevate the Future's presentation, and please go to our next videos, as those are a continuation of this video, and you'll even learn more of Python. Thank you so much.